Hey man, modern love was sold to men as freedom, as partnership, as equality. We were told this new era of relationships would mean no more unfair burdens, no more traditional chains, no more expectations of sacrifice without reward. But look around, brother. Does that sound like the truth? Modern love has not liberated men, it has weaponized their devotion. It takes your natural instinct to protect, provide, and remain loyal, and it twists those instincts into tools of exploitation. You are told you must prove your worth, endlessly, while she simply exists. You are told you must provide stability, while she chases chaos. You are told your role is to be patient, consistent, forgiving, while she is free to be impulsive, demanding, and inconsistent. And when you finally collapse under the weight of this imbalance, you are labeled weak. That is the brutal irony of modern love. It preaches fairness, but feeds off your sacrifice. The modern dating market doesn't reward loyalty, it punishes it. Women are told to never settle, to always keep options open, to believe that no matter what they already have, there must be someone out there who can give them more. Meanwhile, men are told to commit early, to give their best, to prove themselves worthy of being chosen. Do you see the imbalance? She is encouraged to explore, test, and discard. You are told to anchor, provide, and endure. And the result is predictable. Men give their loyalty to women who see it as disposable. This is how modern love exploits men. It takes your devotion, your seriousness, your commitment, and pits it against her endless appetite for novelty and validation. And in the end, you are left drained while she is applauded for finding herself. Social media poured gasoline on this fire. In the past, loyalty was easier because distractions were fewer. But now, women are bombarded every second with images of better men. Men with more money, more muscles, more status, more lifestyle, and with every scroll her perception of reality shifts. She stops seeing the man in front of her, the man who provides, protects, and stays loyal. Instead, she sees what you aren't, and because emotions dictate her reality, she begins to feel like she's missing out, even if she's already with a good man. Meanwhile, you're working harder, giving more, sacrificing deeper, trying to hold together a relationship that her screen is constantly undermining. You see the trap now? Modern love doesn't just demand your loyalty, it sets you up to fail by constantly comparing you to illusions you can't compete with. Even the language of modern love is stacked against men. Women say they want equality, but in practice, equality has become a mask for entitlement. She wants you to pay, provide, protect, plan, and pursue, but also to never expect gratitude. If you complain, you're insecure. If you set boundaries, you're controlling. If you stop giving, you're neglectful. And so men are forced into a lose-lose game, give endlessly and be taken for granted, or stop giving and be accused of not loving enough. This is not partnership, it's exploitation disguised as romance. And too many men stay silent about it, because society has conditioned them to believe that asking for fairness makes them weak. But brother, silence is what keeps this game alive. Once you name it, once you see it, you can no longer be played by it. At its core, modern love exploits men because it has convinced women that love is supposed to feel like a constant high, while convincing men that love is supposed to feel like constant labor. She's chasing butterflies, while you're carrying bricks. She measures love by how much she feels. You measure it by how much you give. And that imbalance ensures one thing: you will always be working harder, while she is always believing she deserves more. The moment her feelings fade, she will tell herself the love is gone. But the truth is, she never understood love to begin with. Love isn't endless butterflies, it's commitment, discipline, sacrifice. And while men still live by that code, modern women often abandon it the second it no longer feels exciting. That is how modern love exploits men, not by accident, but by design. One of the most brutal aspects of modern love is that it doesn't just take from men, it convinces men that giving endlessly is proof of masculinity. You are told, a real man provides, a real man protects, a real man never complains. But notice how the definition of a real man always seems to benefit her. It's never about you, your growth, your peace. It's about how much you can bleed without breaking. And if you ever push back, if you ever say this isn't fair, suddenly you're shamed. You're called insecure, controlling, toxic. Do you see the trap? The very moment you demand balance, you're made the villain. So most men swallow the injustice and keep sacrificing, hoping that loyalty will one day be rewarded. But it rarely is, because in modern love, your sacrifices are not sacred, they're expected. And let's talk about divorce, brother, because that's where the exploitation of modern love becomes undeniable. A man can spend years building a home, providing stability, raising children, sacrificing dreams, and the moment she decides she's unhappy, she can leave and take half of what he built. Not only that, but the system will force him to keep providing for her long after she's gone. It's not just betrayal, it's legalized exploitation. She gets the comfort of your labor, even after discarding your loyalty, and society applauds her, calling it independence. Meanwhile, you are left with the scraps of what you worked for, punished for the very devotion you thought was noble. That is the reality of modern love. It rewards her exit while punishing your investment. The truth is, brother, men have become the laborers of modern love. You are expected to lay the foundation, build the house, pay the bills, secure the future, and provide the stability, while she provides her presence. Her body, her beauty, her attention are framed as equal exchange. But let's be real, beauty fades, attention shifts, and her presence alone doesn't sustain a relationship. Yet the culture has elevated her existence to the same level as your sacrifices. That imbalance is why so many men feel empty even while giving their all. Because deep down, you know what you're giving and what you're receiving aren't equal. You're trading blood for butterflies, labor for fleeting validation, and when the butterflies die, you're left with nothing but exhaustion. Modern love also exploits men through the illusion of choice. On the surface, it looks like men have more options than ever. Dating apps, social media, endless access to women. But in reality, women are the ones with the power of choice, because they control attention. A man might swipe 1,000 times and get a handful of responses. A woman can post a picture and receive validation from hundreds of men instantly. This imbalance creates desperation in men, because scarcity makes you chase, and the more you chase, the less she respects you. Meanwhile, she thrives in abundance, convinced she can always trade up. So while you're fighting to be chosen, she's enjoying the benefits of your struggle without ever feeling the weight of competition. That's not love, brother. That's exploitation built into the system. Here's the cruelest part. Modern love convinces you that walking away makes you bitter, but staying makes you strong. Society wants you to believe that enduring disrespect is noble, that swallowing betrayal is maturity, that giving endlessly without return is love. But let me tell you the truth. It's not noble, it's not strong, and it's not love. It's exploitation. And the sooner you see it for what it is, the sooner you can reclaim your power. Because love that drains you isn't love, it's slavery wrapped in romance, and a man who sees the game clearly stops begging to be chosen. He stops proving his worth to someone who doesn't value it. He starts building for himself, living for himself, and only allowing into his life women who bring peace instead of chaos, loyalty instead of options, and truth instead of manipulation. The emotional burden is another way modern love exploits men. You're not just expected to provide financially, you're also expected to be her therapist, her protector, her emotional punching bag. When she's angry, she dumps it on you. When she's insecure, she looks to you for reassurance. When she feels lost, she demands you guide her back. And while you're carrying her weight, who carries yours? No one. Because men are conditioned to suffer in silence. If you vent, you're weak. If you ask for support, you're needy. If you show pain, you're unattractive, and so you bottle it all up, breaking on the inside while pretending to be unshakable on the outside. That is exploitation, brother. The slow suffocation of your soul under the weight of expectations that no one ever intends to balance. Modern love also preys on men through the manipulation of guilt. A woman today has been conditioned to believe that every shortcoming in the relationship is your fault. If she cheats, it's because you weren't giving her enough attention. If she leaves, it's because you didn't make her happy. If she loses respect for you, it's because you weren't strong enough. Do you see the game? No matter what she does, the blame shifts to you. And because men are naturally problem solvers, you accept the blame and work harder to fix it. You push yourself to exhaustion trying to solve problems that were never yours to solve. That's not love. That's manipulation through shame. And until you break free from it, you'll stay trapped in a loop of apologizing for crimes you didn't commit. Even intimacy has been weaponized in modern love. What used to be a sacred act of connection has now become a bargaining chip. Many women withhold it when they're upset, offer it only when they want something, or use it as a tool to keep you compliant. This isn't affection, it's control. And men, desperate to keep the connection, often give in. They lower their standards, they bend their rules, they sacrifice their dignity just to maintain intimacy. But here's the harsh reality. A woman who uses intimacy as a weapon is not loving you, She's conditioning you. She's training you to equate your self-worth with her approval. And once she knows she can control you in that way, your masculinity is no longer yours. It belongs to her. Another layer of exploitation is the way modern love distorts commitment. In the past, commitment was mutual. Two people sacrificing, two people working, two people enduring. Today, commitment is expected almost entirely from men. You're told to settle down, stay loyal, build stability, invest in the future. Meanwhile, she is told to explore her options, to find herself, to never settle until she feels completely fulfilled. So while you're anchored in loyalty, she's drifting with the tides of her emotions, and when she decides she's no longer happy, she feels justified in leaving, because society has given her permission to equate happiness with truth. This asymmetry is the core of exploitation. You commit while she experiments, you build permanence while she chases feelings, and in the end, you pay the price for believing her promises were as real as yours. Brother, the most sinister part of how modern love exploits men is how invisible it feels while it's happening. You don't notice the exploitation because it's disguised as love. The constant demands are disguised as needs. The guilt trips are disguised as honesty. The comparisons are disguised as motivation. And by the time you realize you've been drained, years have passed. Your confidence is lower, your resources are thinner, your soul is heavier. That's why awareness is everything. Once you see the game, you can't unsee it, and once you refuse to play, the exploitation ends. Because modern love only works as long as men accept the lie that giving endlessly, sacrificing endlessly, and suffering endlessly is proof of devotion. It isn't. True devotion is mutual, balanced, and rooted in respect. Anything else is exploitation dressed in romance. Another way modern love exploits men is by twisting responsibility. You're expected to take responsibility for both yourself and her, while she's free to avoid accountability for her own choices. If she spends recklessly, you're blamed for not earning enough. If she loses interest, you're blamed for not keeping her excited. If she cheats, you're blamed for not being attentive enough. Responsibility for failure always lands on you, while responsibility for success rarely does. And because men are taught to lead, we often accept that burden silently, believing that if we just work harder, if we just give more, the relationship will stabilize. But the truth is, a relationship where responsibility is one-sided is not love, it's servitude. And the man who carries two people's weight will eventually break, while the one who never carried hers will walk away untouched. The economic reality of modern love also tilts against men. You are expected to be ambitious, financially secure, and capable of providing not just for yourself, but for her and potentially her lifestyle too. Meanwhile, she is free to bring little to the table beyond her beauty, her charm, and her presence, and society tells her this is enough, that she's the prize. So men grind, hustle, sacrifice sleep, and endure stress to build stability, only to discover that stability itself isn't enough to secure loyalty. Because in today's world, stability is often mistaken for boredom. Women will push you to build a kingdom, then leave to dance in another man's chaos, believing excitement is worth more than security. That is the ultimate exploitation. You give her the house, but she longs for the fire that will burn it down. And let's not ignore the emotional double standard. A man in modern love is expected to be both a rock and a poet, strong but vulnerable, stoic but expressive, a provider but also deeply romantic. In other words, you're expected to be everything at once, while she reserves the right to be inconsistent, moody, and unpredictable. If you fail to meet her endless checklist, you're judged as inadequate. But when she fails to meet even the basics of loyalty, respect, and consistency, she is excused with phrases like, "That's just how women are. Do you see the imbalance? You're graded on performance, she's graded on existence." And that imbalance guarantees that the man will always feel like he's falling short, no matter how much he gives. That's not partnership, it's exploitation disguised as emotional need. Perhaps the cruelest exploitation of all is how modern love frames sacrifice as obligation. Men are told that giving up dreams, bending to her demands, and compromising their purpose is what a real man does for love, and many men fall for it. They abandon their passions, cut off friendships, sacrifice ambition, all in the name of keeping her happy. But here's the paradox. The more you sacrifice, the less she respects you. Because deep down, she knows a man who abandons himself for her approval is no longer a man she can admire. And once admiration dies, attraction dies with it. That's why so many men give everything, only to watch her walk away anyway. She didn't leave because you didn't give enough. She left because you gave too much, and in doing so lost yourself. Brother, the essence of this whole trap is simple. Modern love convinces you that your worth is measured by how much you endure. That's the lie, that's the con, and as long as you believe it, you will keep pouring yourself into women who see you not as a partner, but as a resource. The man who escapes this trap is the man who realizes that love without reciprocity is not love. That giving without receiving is not noble, it's slavery. That building without being respected is not strength, it's self-betrayal. And once you see it, once you stand firm in your standards, once you refuse to be drained under the guise of love, you reclaim your power, because modern love only exploits the men who allow it. The man who refuses to be exploited becomes untouchable. Another layer of this exploitation comes from how modern culture glorifies female freedom but demonizes male freedom. A woman can walk away from a relationship at any time and be celebrated for choosing herself. She can abandon commitment, chase excitement, and society will cheer her on for being brave. But if a man does the same, if he walks away, if he chooses solitude, if he refuses to pour into an unworthy relationship, he is shamed. He's called cold, bitter, or emotionally unavailable. Do you see the double standard? Her independence is empowerment, but your independence is selfishness. That's how modern love exploits men, not just through personal relationships, but through cultural narratives that make men feel guilty for protecting their own peace. Brother, you must also see how language itself has been weaponized. Women are told they are owed happiness. Men are told they must earn love. That simple shift changes everything, because if she is owed happiness, you must work endlessly to provide it. And if you fail, she feels justified in leaving. But if you are told you must earn love, you never question the endless proving, chasing, and sacrificing. It just feels like the price of admission. This language traps men in an endless performance, while women live in endless entitlement. And until you see it clearly, you will remain the actor in a play you didn't write, dancing for applause that will never come. One of the most soul-crushing aspects of modern love is how easily years of devotion can be erased. You can give her loyalty, protection, consistency, and sacrifice for years, and she can walk away without hesitation the moment she feels different. No gratitude, no reflection, just a cold exit, justified by the phrase, "I'm not happy anymore." And while you sit in the ruins of everything you gave, she's already moving on, celebrated for her courage to leave. That's how modern love exploits men, by convincing women their emotions are sacred, while convincing men their sacrifices are disposable. And once you grasp that, you'll stop expecting loyalty to be returned simply because you gave it. You'll start demanding integrity before you invest at all. But here's the deeper truth. The system only works as long as men play along. As long as you keep sacrificing without standards, as long as you keep chasing without boundaries, as long as you keep investing without testing character, modern love will continue to exploit you. The moment you stop, the moment you decide that your loyalty, your energy, your resources must be earned, not assumed, you flip the script, because exploitation thrives in silence. Once you speak it, once you see it, once you refuse it, you take back control. That's the power men have forgotten, that you are the gatekeeper of your own effort, your own commitment, your own legacy. And if you give it away too cheaply, you can't be surprised when it's treated like trash. So hear me clearly, brother. Modern love as it is sold today is not built for men. It's built on men. It feeds on your devotion while excusing her disloyalty. It drains your energy while celebrating her freedom. It takes your sacrifice and repackages it as obligation. But once you see the game, you are no longer a victim of it. You stop begging for equality in a system that was never meant to be equal. You start living for yourself, building for yourself, and protecting yourself. And in doing so, you discover the truth. Modern love cannot exploit a man who refuses to be exploited. That is your path forward. Not to hate women, not to withdraw from love completely, but to walk with clarity, to demand balance, and to only give yourself to the rare woman who truly knows what loyalty means. Anything less is slavery disguised as romance.